23 million people are on the brink of starvation as we speak today, across 7 countries. That includes Kenya, South Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, Malawi and some other countries. The reason for most of this situation is to do with prolonged drought, lack of rain, which has been causing multiple crop failures for rural people. Livestock right through this region have died in their hundreds of thousands. If you think about 23 million people being on the verge of starvation, this is one of the biggest humanitarian crises since the Second World War. It's probably going to be larger than the famine in Ethiopia in 1984, and so it's on a scale which really is extraordinary. Well, the main focus of my visit was in eastern Kenya, in a rural area called Kitui. All of the crops, whether they're corn crops or other planted crops, they're all wilted. This is for the second season in a row. There's nothing that's grown properly to be able to be harvested, and it's clear that there's simply no water. There's almost no livestock anywhere, and so you see all these signs of a farming community in true crisis. One of the mothers of 7 kids just said to me, "Oh, look, Paul, what we're doing now to adapt is we're having, as a family, one small meal every second day, and we hope that we can find our way through so that, you know, the young ones survive." All of the children that I saw in that clinic on one particular day were stunted. And what that means is that a 4-year-old child looks like a 2.5-year-old child. They haven't grown physically because these children, for the last several years, haven't had sufficient nutrition. So I witnessed very young children who were extremely weak, very thin, and many of whom won't live until Christmas this year. The Australian government is providing some humanitarian assistance for this particular crisis at the moment, and quite a number of the Australian international aid agencies are assisting, the Caritas network, which is one of the biggest global networks. So there is some response, but it's not anywhere near the scale that's needed. And in fact, the United Nations Secretary General asked last month for much greater financial support from wealthy countries to assist in a response, and overall the response was very low. Probably the thing that amazed me most when I was in East Africa, the deafening silence from the Western media. There's almost no reference to this at all. Our public broadcaster has been pretty active, but apart from that, it's as though this is simply not an issue. I think the fascination with issues to do with the President of the United States, with North Korea, the French elections, all these other factors, as well as our own budget and domestic set of issues, has distracted attention from something which Australians have normally been quite focused on. Nobody in the country, nobody in Australia really knows about this, apart from people who work in this particular field. If these people, by the way, were all in France, the 23 million starving people were in France, or in some part of the United States, or Canada, or England, it'd be entirely different. The good news is that there are organisations that are in there trying to make a difference, including Caritas. There are many organisations which are working on the ground in these countries with local partner agencies. They're the ones, for anybody who's thinking of making a donation to support relief, to get food to people, water to people, they are the ones that will be the most effective. Caritas itself it operates in 190 countries. It has more than 500,000 staff, 30 million volunteers. It is an extraordinary network, and Caritas Kenya itself is a very efficient, capable organisation that's had to deal with things like this before. In South Sudan as well, we work closely with our American, Irish, UK counterparts, which are quite large organisations that are expert at doing humanitarian responses. If you have very long established, effective networks, and which we do through the Catholic Church in each of these countries, then you've got a local presence. Those people know how to operate. They know where to buy food, where to do things, how to get things done without the sort of response that sometimes happens with foreigners flying in to do it.